Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished panel, ladies and gentlemen. In this conference and everywhere else, whenever India's name is mentioned, people always come out with the same refrain. For one of the fastest growing economy, India's record in poverty alleviation and ensuring nutritional enhancement to the people is not at all encouraging. This is the common feeling, and it has been told several times. This despite the fact that countries signatory to several international agreements to end hunger and malnutrition and food security is repeatedly proclaimed as one of the principal goals of the development. The very concept of food security implies access to adequate food to all people at all times for an active and healthy life. It suggests not only avoiding hunger and ensuring adequate calorie intake, but also eradication of malnutrition. Now, what we have been able to achieve? Chronic hunger, chronic hunger in terms of starvation has largely been eliminated. Although there is a disturbing large extent of seasonal hunger, especially in the rain-fed dry areas. Second, there has been progress in reducing calorie deficiency. However, a very large proportion of rural households subsist on below 1800 calories, which is considered to be the minimum required for active and healthy life. There has been no progress in ensuring nutritional security, calculating protein, energy, malnutrient or micronutrient deficiencies, barring in one or two states. The worst sufferers are young children, pregnant and lactating mothers, and elderly persons without any family support. Now, these are the achievements or lack of achievement what we can see in this area. In a country which has been aspiring for decades to achieve food and nutritional security, these are very disheartening facts. If the present rate of progress continues, India will not be able to reach the millennium goal of halving the malnutrition. One of the principal reasons for disappointing performance in this area is the pattern of growth of the economy. As Mr. Chandrasekhar has said, the driving force for economic growth in India has been mainly the service sector and to an extent industries. Agriculture has not contributed to the growth to any significant extent, although nearly 52% of country's workforce depends on agriculture. It is well-known fact that the growth in agriculture leads to much faster penetration of benefits and to a larger number of people. Stagnation in agricultural growth meant that the large number of households dependent on agriculture remained impoverished and could not improve their standard of living. Now, what could be the reasons for this? There are several reasons for widely prevalent malnutrition in the rural areas and in country in general. Firstly, there has been an excessive emphasis on wheat and rice for last several decades, right from the beginning of Green Revolution in the early 1960s. This has resulted in the neglect of other cereals, including coarse cereals, which in many respects are more nutritious. Second, agrarian structure is progressively dominated by small holding, the size of holding going down, more and more small holdings are coming up. Agriculture on these holdings is not profitable, and to that extent, scope for purchasing power, more nutrition food from the market is not available to very large majority of people. Third, in the financial allocation by the government, health and sanitation sector are grossly neglected, especially the sanitation part. More so when it comes to allocation of rural areas. And this is very important. Without good health and sanitation measures, all these efforts are like putting water in a sieve. Nothing is retained. Fourth, the role which civil society could have played in improving awareness in the health and sanitation related issues at the household level is totally missing. And this is important. While action is needed in all these areas to correct the situation, the most important agenda should be to emphasize agricultural growth, especially on the small farms. The fact that on a large number of small and marginal holdings, agriculture is largely for self-provisioning. The nutritional aspect can be addressed right at the farm level. The direction in which agriculture has to move to improve the nutrition would include, and I'm talking more of agriculture production and nutrition linkage, Emphasis on the coarse cereal and other indigenous crops which are more nutritious, which today is lacking. Strengthening the supplementary farm enterprises, dairy and fruit and vegetable, particularly on the small farms. And this is very important because most of the dairy and fruit and vegetable is grown on the small farms. Using breeding technologies to develop nutritionally superior crops varieties, we have, for example, protein-rich maize, or fortifying the processed food such as flour of the cereals. Friends, you will see that in this, the role of the state, role of the private sector, and role of civil society is equally important. For undertaking the measures, the public and private sector, as well as the civil society, have important roles. Public research has to give attention to the core cereals. Public price policy has to discriminate in favor of these and other nutritionally rich crops. The private sector could contribute to the research on the nutritionally fortified crops and food products, and the civil society has to role in generating awareness about nutrition at the household level. All these are important areas on which work has to be done. The good thing is that now at all levels, right from the highest policy making level down to the state level, there is an awareness that these things should be attempted, and we are hopeful that in coming few years we will change the course, and probably the refrain of India, a fast growing country with a very bad record on poverty and nutrition enhancement, will no more be realistic. Thank you very much.